Welcome to A Filmmaker's Thoughts on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I'm always asked this question about Dr. King. Why would a man of peace be assassinated? I believe after Dr. King's visit to Chicago, it let him see that the integration of lunch counters and buses, that was cool. But Dr. King thought about what it would take to integrate neighborhoods, jobs, and even spread out the wealth. He knew that's where the real battle would take place, thus making him a very dangerous man to many people throughout the United States. To this day, most people only know about his famous I Have a Dream speech, but most people don't know about his ideas and thoughts after that speech. Take a look at this quick clip.
After the Selma movement in 1965, we were able to get a voting rights bill. Now, all of these things represented strides, but we must see that the struggle today is much more difficult. It's more difficult today because we are struggling now for genuine equality. It's much easier to integrate a lunch counter than it is to guarantee a livable income and a good solid job. It's much easier to guarantee the right to vote than it is to guarantee the right to live in sanitary, decent housing conditions. It is much easier to integrate a public park than it is to make genuine quality integrated education a reality. And so today we are struggling for something which says we demand genuine equality. It's not merely a struggle against extremist behavior toward Negroes. And I'm convinced that many of the very people who supported us in the struggle in the South are not willing to go all the way now. I came to see this in a very difficult and painful way in Chicago over the last year where I've lived and worked. Some of the people who came quickly to march with us in Selma and Birmingham were active around Chicago. And I came to see that so many people who supported morally and even financially what we were doing in Birmingham and Selma were really outraged against the extremist behavior of Bull Connor and Jim Clark toward Negroes rather than believing in genuine equality for Negroes.
Welcome to A Filmmaker's Thoughts on Malcolm X. 30 years ago, I was asked by many of my former students if Malcolm X was a violent person. And of course, I told them that Malcolm X wasn't a violent man. Now, once again, that was 30 years ago. Recently, I tried to post my short documentary about Malcolm on a page that was trying to fight against racism. My film was rejected because they claimed that Malcolm was a violent man who preached violence, which is why it's appropriate for me to not say another word and let you hear Malcolm's words about this subject.
And what you and I have to let the man know is we are peaceful people. We are loving people. We love everybody who loves us. But we don't love anybody who doesn't love us. But we are not nonviolent with anyone who is violent with us.
Welcome to A Filmmaker's Thoughts on Huey P. Newton. Huey was the bold young leader of the Black Panther Party. Believe it or not, new information or false information continues to be leaked out about the legend of Huey P. Newton. I think the strangest information to be leaked was Huey had developed a drug habit, especially when he understood how the drug business worked.
I think we're dangerous because the truth is dangerous. The truth is certainly dangerous. I was on opium against the Oriental people. They aided in this, and because the Asians did not want to grow the opium. And of course, this country was always motivated by the profit motive, and I'm not convinced that the Nixon administration, Hoover himself, I'm not convinced that they don't condone the big pushers, the big peddlers, the ones who import the narcotics from other countries. We don't have any ships and we don't have any airplanes in order to get that bulk narcotic into the country. The only person that has it are very, very rich, and of course the Nixon clan and those rulers, they're in that circle. So I think the peers of the dope racket would be the ruling circle and not the people who are victims of the dope.